to order, Allison.
Director Curtis,
Present.
Director Martinson,
Here.
Policy,
Here.
Director Berg,
Here.
Director Kentosh,
Here.
and we have Director Ulrich is not here, and Chair Stone.
I'm here, and he didn't have a 2449, so. Okay. Move on to item 3 then, Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands, nation, under God, visible, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. Picture still on?
Been here a while.
Yeah.
Not even up.
What's the matter, Randy? You want?
Allison, do we have any additions
Discussing.
or amendments to the agenda?
We do not.
Have any public concerns?
There is no public.
No public on the
There's no
call?
public. That's a concern.
Okay. Move on to item 6, 7, and 8, the consent items.
Approval.
Can I ask a question before we approve these? I noticed tonight we're gonna vote on a raise for the board members to 250. I recall in the meeting on the 17th that came up, but I don't remember there was a number associated with it. What was there at that time?
There was a draft of the exact same ordinance, and it's embedded in the ordinance, and it was in the staff
So I
report.
just didn't read far enough into it.
I have a question just of curiosity. We approving under consent item, third payment of capacity for that very long lot. Is that where the rescue place is?
No, I think it's a private road with.
So one of those long strips is a horse rescue.
Not to my knowledge.
I'm just curious, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Further questions on 6, 7, or 8? Anything anybody can pull off?
There a motion on the table already?
Director Curtis.
I'll second the motion to approve 6, 7, and 8.
Director Burke?
Yeah, I'll have to abstain from approving the minutes of June 17th. I was not here.
Noted.
Need a roll call, Allison.
Ran the roll caller. Director Curtis. Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
Yes.
Chair Stone.
Yes.
Director Ulrich absent, and then Director Berg abstained from the minutes. And then are you in approval of the other 2 items?
Okay, move on to item 9, public hearings. Proposed ordinance number OVSD-85, replacement ordinance OVSD 74, setting board member compensation. Allison?
Okay, so this is the second reading of Ojai Valley Sanitary District Ordinance Number OVSD 85, an ordinance of the Board of Directors of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District setting board member compensation.
Yeah, because we need to conduct a public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing at 6:05. Do you have any staff reports or recommendations?
No.
Do we have any, or of any written communications?
No.
Any public comment?
There are a couple of publics now. Yeah, one's Rick Knack and one is Rick somebody else.
They're both Rick. Are they both Rick?
No, I don't think they are. I don't think the other Rick is Rick Knack.
I guess we need to ask if there's public comment from anybody that's attending for this agenda item.
Do we have any public comment? So
It's open.
hearing none, I guess we'll move on to closing the public hearing at 6:06. Discussion by the board of directors.
I have a question. I apologize to the board because I didn't find the number at the last meeting. I'm not in favor of a 30% raise to the board member. We're going from 175 to 250, and I don't think that's appropriate given what we've been giving our staff. And I don't like the touch-up idea that, well, we haven't got a raise for 10 years or whatever. So I will be voting no.
Thank you.
I forgot, when was the last time? 17?
14.
Years ago.
The other way.
We went through this in Minor Oaks Water District, and we increased our monthly fee from, I think it was 175 or somewhere around where we are now, up to 250. So we've been through this, I've been through this before. And, you know, when they passed the law about limiting the salaries for directors, they allowed for a certain provision. And we're way under what that allowance is for 5% increase per year, whatever it is, so. So I kind of support it. For the sake of the others, not.
Okay, do we need a motion and a second on this?
I'll make a motion to adopt. Oh God, my screen jumped.
9AB.
Actually,
Actually, I'm going to make a motion to adopt ordinance number OVSD-85 with an effective date of August 4.
it's 9C. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Allison, would you call the roll, please?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
No,
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Chair Stone.
No. That's passed, correct?
Well,
42.
yes. So Misha, only a rate ordinance needs a supermajority, correct? So this one is fine, 4-2. Because we have Director Ulrich absent, correct? It's only rate related ones that have to have a supermajority.
Correct.
Was a majority either way.
It's certain ordinances though require a
It
supermajority.
requires a supermajority.
Okay, what is the supermajority again?
For rate increases.
What is it?
Probably 5 out of 7.
5 out of 7.
I know it's 7. But what is it out of 6?
Or it's just a majority. It has to be a majority of the directors present. You're 4, you're fine.
Oh, they're honest. Okay, moving on to item 10. Resolution number 2024-11, Conflict of Interest Code.
Okay, so this is more of a manner of housekeeping, if you will. We are required to review our conflict of interest code annually. And if there are remit to the county, either a statement that says there are no changes to our conflict of interest code, or if we have changes, the only changes to note as to why we have to adopt a resolution and show a red line version is because we had some title changes as a result of the classification and compensation study. Nothing else about this has changed. It's in standard form as it was submitted last time. You made a revision in 2018, which were likely title changes. Also, it does appear that the conflict of interest resolution has pretty much remained unchanged other than that for quite some time. So before you is a motion to adopt 2024-11, the new amended conflict of interest code, just updating some title changes of the required reporting designated employees.
Thank you. That's a lot. We'll entertain a motion in a second on this.
Move approval of item 10.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Allison, call the roll, please.
Director Curtis. Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Berg.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
Yes.
Chair Stone.
Yes. Moving on to item 11, Burnham Road Trunk Sewer Rehabilitation Project, including construction inspection services contract number 2024-13.
That one is all Liz.
So you guys are familiar with our Burnham Road project by now. We had the spill there earlier this year. And it was pretty apparent when staff reviewed the CCTV that basically all the asbestos cement pipe downstream of the siphon tie-in is degrading rapidly in comparison to the pipe that's located upstream of the siphon connection. So we designed a project this year to try to make the most of our collection system reserve budget. We have a base bid. See 2,600 linear feet of 18 and 21 inch. This captures all the 18 inch, which was in the worst condition when we watched the CCTV. And that captures that base bid captures the worst of the most deteriorated pipe closest to the siphon. We believe that we need to CIPP rehabilitate all of the trunk sewer all the way to the lift station on Santa Ana. So we also put together an add alternate portion of the bid to do another 2,500 feet of 21 inch ACP going along Burnham Road toward the lift station. That gets us all the way to Chaparral. And we received 2 bids for this work. It's from the 2 main CIPP contractors in SoCal and nationwide. They do a ton of work. They've both done a lot of work for us. We've had other low bidders come in and undercut them in the past occasionally, but these have been the 2 main contractors that have done most of our CIPP work, as well as our manhole rehabilitation work. They're just big national outfits and they know what they're doing. So staff's recommendation, because we got such a great price from SanCon also, they're the contractor that came in and did the emergency liner for us, the 440 feet, 2 segments upstream of our spill location, because we found those were too compromised to even allow this 4-month wait that we've had. So they're very familiar with the area. They're very familiar with the condition of the pipe. I suspect that's why we got such a great price from them, because they've had eyes on it more recently. They also attended our pre-bid in person. They've walked the site. They're aware of the traffic control constraints and things like that. So all that being said, I would recommend that we do award the add alternate and the base bid and the add alternate, just because we got such a competitive price for it. But that does have an impact to our collection system reserve. And in the pipeline this year, of course, there's more that we would love to do, but we will have a lid adjustment project in the city of Ojai coming up in the next couple of months. We've got 60 manhole lids, and we don't know the exact price of that work yet. Probably in the $125K range. It will also be impacting the reserve.
This is the Highway 33.
No, that one's already budgeted for with Caltrans. The city of Ojai has a pretty aggressive paving plan for the next few years, next several years. And in their project area for this year, which is currently, I believe, in design, about to go out to bid, but they're hoping to do the work this fall, winter, depending on weather. We have around 60 manholes, 65 manholes.
Scattered all over the city.
Yes, they kind of piece it all over.
Dr. Curtis.
That liner gonna be strong enough to replace the existing pipe?
Yes, we require that they assume complete deterioration of the pipe with groundwater all the way to surface level. And that pipe liner is strong enough structurally to stand that. And it's the new primary structural support for that pipe if needed.
It's lining, not replacement.
It's lining. Replacement would cost
The liner replaces,
20 times.
it'll support the depths.
Yes.
Further questions?
You know, we know that inflation has been running rampant, and you mentioned that construction costs are going up everywhere. You mentioned that SanCon's giving us a good deal. Where would you rate the price we're getting for the cost we're getting for this compared to the typical cost 2 years ago? Are we about par? Are we 10% up, 50% up?
This is a different size for us, so I'm not totally sure how it would compare because the district OVSD hasn't done that before. And the reason why I think that is important is we had a engineer assist us, an outside engineer assist us with our cost estimate. And he was shocked at what a great price we got, but I think that's because of the relationships that the district has formed over the last decade. They know what we expect of them and they know that we'll work with them, we'll pick up our cell phone if they need us to answer their question. Time is money for the contractors. And I think we as a small district really try to appreciate that because we're not big enough to like jerk around a couple of contractors. Our projects just aren't big enough to essentially, LA County Sand can do whatever they want and they're going to get bidders because they've got millions of dollars to give out, right? But we're small, so we try to be adaptive and reactive to the contractors' needs while also having a firm, submittal requirements and technical requirements. I'd say all that because the engineer that looked at our price, I sent him our bid tabulation and he thought we got a great price. And it is so district specific, I think, that I can't say what it would have been for a different district 3 years ago compared to the price that we're getting today, but I know we got a great price today.
Okay, well, thank you.
We'll take your word for it. Anything further? Dr. Curtis?
That project, is the liner going to be placed at night?
Plan is to do it during the day.
And they're going to have to maintain the pump around.
Oh, yes, there's bypassing as part of this work. And traffic control. And there's only one location where we have to bypass all the way across the road, right at Chaparral there, which will be a road closure, but we can divert traffic along Grapevine, luckily, for the most part.
Anybody else?
Let's do it.
I'll entertain a motion in a second.
All second.
The project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Allison, would you call the roll, please?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Phillipsen,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
and Chair Stone.
Yes. All right, moving on to item 12, State of California Septic to Sewer Program Disadvantaged Communities within the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Service Area. Resolution number 24. Alice.
Okay, perfect. So a little over a year ago, the district, at the direction of the board, submitted an application for a state grant fund in which supports the cost for septic to sewer conversions for disadvantaged communities. There were numerous potential disadvantaged communities identified within the district. We elected to apply for these 3 disadvantaged communities because there was they were already documented to be disadvantaged based on census data. Some of the other communities required survey study, significant district participation that we simply couldn't handle. We didn't have capacity for. And so we're moving forward with these 3 disadvantaged communities. And the application has been sent to the state. It actually has been accepted. And we were notified last fiscal year that there was not funding available for it. So it's been sitting in queue. We recently had an update meeting as the new fiscal year began. And while there was no promises there would be funding available this fiscal year, they wanted to make sure if there was that essentially, since we're in the queue, that we were ready to be submitted and all of our stuff was updated. One of the things that they essentially needed amended in our application was the corresponding resolution. We originally submitted one resolution for all 3 project areas. They thought it best that we have 3 separate resolutions, one for each project area, as they will be funded separately and considered 3 separate projects in all senses. So essentially, one will not hold up the other if they are all presented individually, all the signing authority is individual. We also had the opportunity to create a more appropriate naming configuration once we separated them. And so they're separated by essentially septic to sewer, North Rice Road, septic to sewer, Trustee Lane. And so essentially when we move forward with the projects in our design and planning, that they're more appropriately labeled for, and identifiable for the area. So this is, once again, a little bit more of a housekeeping thing, essentially readopting the resolution that we previously adopted alongside our application, separating them into 3 different project areas, changing the naming configuration. The only thing that's different otherwise is that previously authorized representative was our general manager. We've elected to essentially make it the assistant general manager of administration, which is me, since I've been a consistent person alongside this project since the beginning, and have no plans to depart the district and not be part of the project going forward. So there'll be no confusion in any signature authority going forward for them. And they also agreed that that was a best practice. They identified that they realized we had no general manager and recommended that we pick a different consistent person. So we've done that. That's pretty much it.
And any questions? Director Curtis?
Also, are the funds for the program predicated on the state government appropriating them, or are they available now?
That's a very good question. We are a little unclear. We have been told that this is a priority area for grant funding, and that there is a grant that has been previously structured for this and has been utilized by there are other applicants in the queue. So it's a long-standing sort of effort by the state. They weren't super clear if anybody has actually received funding and proceeded for it. I think that we're on the forefront. I think we're sort of like going to be the poster child for this grant. I don't know where the funding ultimately is coming from. It does not appear to be readily available. That's a bit of a mystery, to be honest with you. We originally went into this thinking that the funding was already available and immediately able to be distributed and had been earmarked specifically for this. My indication is that's not the case, but I do think that we're getting closer to the funding source based on sort of the outreach that we've been involved in recently. I have a feeling it has something to do with it being the new fiscal year, but we'll see. We're going to move forward. I'm very hopeful. Another thing to note is they did say that essentially we have the ability to, if the funding isn't 100% available, we have the ability to leverage the grant for the design phase. So in the event that we design this and we don't have enough participants to actually move forward and qualify for the grant, the district essentially can own the design of it and they'll have funded it. So in the event that essentially we want to take it off the shelf and utilize it for something else, or something else becomes available, we'll essentially have the design that was paid for by the state and the cost associated with that, at least for a conversation topic, since this is always a hot topic in the Valley. And so we were happy to hear about that our exercises aren't necessarily all or nothing.
So you're saying it's not clear that the funding to execute the entire program is currently available, but the funding for the engineering portion is currently available?
No, the funding for the design is like the first phase. So you can request essentially to have your estimated cost of your design dispersed and paid for. The actual project itself becomes dependent on a certain percentage of participation because it dictates the feasibility of it also. And so if that unfortunately isn't possible or didn't come to fruition and the project is not affordable or the minimum participation is not achieved, the design will have been done and the cost associated will have been determined, and that can be utilized by the district at a later date, or for an alternate essentially grant they may become available. Essentially, they will pay for some of that preliminary or all of that preliminary work, regardless of whether it comes to fruition for construction. That's kind of a nice idea.
I think we should apply for it, get our name on the list. Depending on where they're gonna get that money from, the big bond issue, but that might be available. But with the state's budget the way it is.
They're having to play games to balance the budget as it is, yeah.
So Allison, we're already in line for this, correct? We're just changing this so they're separate.
Correct.
We're making it 3 separate.
Correct. And we updated some some stuff in the application for them, provided some updated financial documents. I mean, this is just one of the updated items to be ready. Should they be available to have it submitted, that it's up to date, because it's been sitting there for about a year.
I'll move approval of item 12.
A second,
Okay, we have a motion second. Allison?
Director Curtis,
yes,
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Byrd,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone.
Yes.
Okay, we move on to item 13A and B. Oxidation ditch cleaning budget adjustment number 2025-02.
Hey, that would be me. We're to clean out our east oxidation ditch. I don't know if you got to see the photo that I included in the letter for this. Quite a bit of material, rags and grit accumulate over time. The last time we cleaned these two ditches out was we did one in 2011, one in 2012. We encountered about the same amount of material. As the flow travels around these oxidation ditches, which are our big biological processes, stuff settles out over time. We don't catch everything at the front end of the plant. Some stuff migrates through, and it ultimately a lot of it ends up in our oxidation ditches. So, a couple of good reasons to get that out of there. When you have an oxidation ditch offline, you leave that stuff settle out. When you put flow to it again and try to reestablish your biology, there's potential for fines coming up and impacting settability downstream and turbidity and coliform levels and things like that. So it's just kind of in our best interest to clean it out when we can. Back in 2011, 2012, we were changing out some gates. We had some broken big slide gates. So we were changing out some of those. So it gave us the opportunity to ditches down. And that was the first time the ditches had been pulled down, and we went, whoa, there's a lot of material down there. So we utilized the help of Ventura Regional Sanitary District to help us clean that material out, and it worked out pretty good for us. We got them both done during that time frame. This go around, we're in the midst of our TMDL project. Part of that project is changing out our aerators, the two aerators on two per ditch. Back in May, we had the west ditch offline, changed out the aerators. And yes, we did indeed we had a lot of material in there to remove. So we asked for the help of Performance Pipeline, and we used our collection system crew and our gap vac unit to help suck some of that stuff out. And Performance Pipeline brought one of their units in, and some people, and we used plant people, collection people, Performance Pipeline people, and two units to clean that out. Got it done in a couple days. Actually worked out pretty good. So this go around, we put oxidation ditch number 1 back online. Well, now we're looking to take the other ditch offline, and we know we're going to encounter about the same amount of material. So what we wanted to do is utilize Performance Pipeline to go ahead and remove that material in its entirety on their own with only the help of treatment plant crew. Collection system crew focused on their duties in the collection system, cleaning sewer lines, which are about 70% complete, by the way. So we're well on track to meet our performance goals for cleaning our sewer lines by the end of December. Performance Pipeline is proposing to bring out two truck units to suck that material out, and some people, and then we'll utilize plant personnel as well to help. And I would say this will probably take about 3 days. Their units don't pull material out due to the high suction head out of the ditches, as well as our gap vacs, E unit, positive displacement. And this will keep our unit. Our unit has some age to it. We want to keep our unit out of that mix too, so we don't have excessive wear and tear on our unit. So Performance Pipeline is proposing $36,375 to clean this other ditch out for us, which I don't think is a bad price. Last go around, we spent $11,000 with collections and treatment plant crew helping out. That was a good price. Performance Pipeline is going to probably take another day. They're adding another factory unit to pull material out, and they're also going to be adding some other people. So this number kind of makes sense to me. It actually, I think, is a pretty good price. I did reach out initially when we started talking about this stuff, and I reached out to a place in Texas. There's outfits out there here in the state and out of state that they clean lagoons, they clean out digesters, they clean out oxidation ditches. ones I reached out to were very, very unresponsive. And if they have to mobilize from somewhere outside of this area or definitely from out of state, the costs are going to be pretty prohibitive. Cushman, who's on site doing our TMGL project, they proposed a really high price to clean out both ditches to the tune of $65,000+. And then they also gave us a time and material rate option of $23,100 per day with estimated consumables of $5,700. I'm assuming that would take about 3 days work, and that would have cost us about $75,000, even though they're on site. So I think Performance Pipeline, they've done great helping us out in the collection system, cleaning lines. They've done, like I mentioned, they helped us with the other ditch, and they do a really good job. So I would definitely be happy to have them come in and help us help this other ditch while we have it offline to replace aerators on this other ditch.
So this is for the east oxidation ditch. Did we, some months ago or a year ago, approve similar transfer of funds to clean out the west?
The board did not. We opted to utilize some monies out of the operational budget, some of our maintenance monies. It was $11,000, so it was kind of under our need to actually come to the board and get formal approval and we utilize collection and treatment plant staff, plus spent $11,000 for pipeline.
Further questions? Rick Byrd.
I'd like to move for approval of 13A and B.
Second that.
You beat me by a second.
Branch, I do appreciate you using the contractor, not pulling the collection staff off of their schedule. I know they've got a lot going on right now. They're kind of under the gun to get stuff.
They do. They've been doing a really good job, and they're out of here quick in the morning, and they're going headlong and keeping up with our cleaning schedule so we could meet our goals.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Allison, call the roll, please.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Director Tentosh,
Yes.
Chair Stone.
Yes.
One question. 13A says authorize the interim general manager have this done. One of the two of you will be signing the contract, or does the chairman of the board sign a contract?
Contract is, it's actually a proposal. And generally like I said, it'll be just a proposal of like of a time and material sort of proposal. We'll sign it. It's probably a page and a half. So it's not a formal contract that'll go to the board. And this didn't go out for bid. So it'll just be essentially they'll bill at the conclusion of the service they're providing. It's basically like a service track, but it's very, very short.
Yeah.
But generally we ask the board to authorize the general manager to sign it.
General, it's not a regular subcontract.
No, it's more of a convenience thing, if anything, because we're on site. And then when we get the actual proposal, we don't have to try to find a board member to sign it.
Yeah, I'll give them notice to proceed, and they've done work for us before, so they know they're going to get paid. Just move on with the project, and then we'll settle up when they're done.
Okay, moving on to item wastewater treatment plant filter upgrade and nitrate reduction project technical expert services budget adjustment number 2025-4.
Okay, so this scale project has been in the works since before I worked here, with pilot projects by Ron and Jeff, 10 years ago. About $1 million in all for the design, because it had an initial design phase and then by an outside consultant and then our actual design. The construction itself, including the purchase of the filters, is right near $10 million. We had a construction phase services contract with the design firm for $200,000. In June of 2022, we estimated that we'd need $150K in technical expert services, just help with things that are outside our wheelhouse. For example, the subsequent month, you guys awarded a contract to NV5 for compaction testing and material testing, pulling concrete cylinders. I mean, that's something we can't do in-house. Now we're presenting to you this contract with Taft. And they are basically doing our, we're putting in these new VFDs and we're changes to our motor control center, pulling wire, and doing things that we need them to do inspection on. In addition, they'll also be our SCADA liaison, working with the contractor as they implement things into the new controls and instrumentation into our SCADA. So that's the service that they're providing here. And all, we budgeted 200,000 with Stantec. I believe that will be sufficient all the way through the as-built process, which is amazing. The 35K to NV5, we're going to use up almost all of that. And then this 42K puts us at 277,000, which is less than 3% our construction costs, which is, I think, pretty amazing. And to Rick Knack, who's on the call there, he's been an amazing asset to us. He led the construction management, and been our technical expert. He's worked on so many wastewater treatment plants over the years. And so he's saved us a lot by being on our staff. So I want to give him kudos. So yeah, so this is a contract then with Taft Electric to, like I said, do the high voltage electrical inspection and the SCADA implementation. They already work with us on our SCADA, obviously, week in and week out, so they're very familiar with it. This is kind of just a special project for them, so we wanted to have them be able to bill it against a separate contract.
Any questions?
Also, SCADA work too?
They do,
Yeah.
not just me.
Dr. Quillisi?
In another life, I did a full fiber implementation on the University of Arizona campus in Tucson. And the construction manager there got between 5 and 10% of the contract value for those services. So 3% is an amazing deal. Doesn't matter the actual scale of the project even. To have somebody working at that thin a slice, I would say says a lot for our staff's ability to encourage people to work with us.
Anything further? Any questions?
Sounds good to me.
I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll move that we adopt or approve item 14A and B. For, grade nitrate reduction project, technical expert services. We also approve budget number 25-04.
I'll make a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Allison, would you call the roll, please?
Director Curtis. Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Berg.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
Yes.
Chair Stone.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 15. Water treatment plant influent header valve replacement budget adjustment number 2025-03.
I think that's me again. We have some valves, our headworks, our plant is where all the flow comes in. We have four pumps that are underwater, submersible pumps. They're discharged. The discharge from those pumps up through an influent header, a series of pipes. It goes up and then it travels to our fine screen structure. Subsequently, water goes from fine screen structure to the biological treatment process. Well, in between the headworks and the grit and fine screen structure, there's big pipes and there's valves. We're looking to do some valve replacements. Two are 16-inch, one is 8-inch, and one is 6-inch. We've replaced, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, we've replaced 30 or 60% of our big valves.
30%.
30% of our valves moving forward. We replace them as needed. Replacing these valves necessary just to make sure that we keep our valves operable. These valves were installed during the 96 project, so they're old. The two 16 inches are very big. In addition to keeping our valves operable, we're aware that we had a little bit of leak by with the two big valves years ago when we changed some influent piping to facilitate a bigger influent meter, which gave us less restriction when we had high flows during storm periods. So we are aware that we might need to do some work on those valves or replace those valves down the road. Now, with our grid structure being evaluated for some minor upgrades and replacing our fine screen units in the future, it's going to be imperative that we're able to shut flow down completely to the fine screen structure. So to facilitate changing these valves out, we need a little help. We need to bypass flow from bypass around the fine screen unit. So we need to pull flow up from the influent, use portable pumps, have some pump redundancy, have some pump watch, and pump flow around the grid structure to our anaerobic zone while we get these valves changed out. Cushman, I don't think did we include the price? Cushman is going to, as part of a change order with the TMDL project, since they're already on site, they have the expertise, and I couldn't be happier about them doing this work. They're proposing to go ahead and change these valves out for us, the 216s, the 1 8-inch and the 1 6-inch, while they're on site. I couldn't be happier to have them do that because they're very, very good at what they do. And one concern I have with changing out any valve, and I've experienced many times, is you pull a valve out and the pipes move. When you're looking at 16-inch lines, we need some expertise there to make sure that they have the ability to bring things back in alignment. And I have no doubt that Cushman will do a great job in utilizing their equipment and their expertise in changing these valves out. We're proposing that Rain for Rent. We looked at two pump rental companies, Rain for Rent and Toro. Rain for Rent came in cheaper. We've used them before. I have no doubt that they won't do a good job for us. They know the scope of work. They know how many pumps we need. Liz did a great job in pulling pricing together and sharing all the information about the scope of work and having these people out on site prior to them bidding the cost for the bypass pumping. Valves, I think all the valves are on site. If not, yeah, they are. All the valves are on site. We ordered those ahead of time because there were some long lead times. So now we have the valves. Now we're looking to do the bypass pumping and to have Cushman replace the valves. And then we'll be good to go as we continue down the road and look forward to changing out our fine screen in the future.
Bradshaw. Questions? Director Curtis.
One of the reasons Rain for Rent do it cheaper than anybody else is they've already got the pipe, that equipment that's been used in sewer work. They maintain that all the time. Well, that's what they do. You're just renting it from them. Contractor has to buy the pipe. He's gonna charge you for the new pipe. Rain for Rent, you're just renting the pipe.
I move we approve. EC 15.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
A second. Allison, would you call the roll, please?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Byrd,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Chair Stone.
Yes. Gosh, sure. It's been so long. Item 16, contract number 2024-03, engineering services for fine screen replacement design project, budget adjustment 2024.
Sorry, that item was supposed to be removed from your agenda item. I moved it.
It was moved from the other agenda.
Oh, from the other one?
It was-
Yeah, that one's, that's an error on your chairman's agenda.
Right, well, we should have said more, so I could take more back.
Feel better.
Yeah. Okay, we're moving on to items 17 through 22. That's informational items. Is there anything on there anybody wants to pull off and discuss?
I'd just like to point out it's item 16
Sorry.
through 22. Just for the record.
Sorry, I messed you up.
That's okay. Okay, and that is, there's no action needed, so that's just receipt and file. Board member comments. Board members have any comments?
Comments?
Board member comments? Do you have any board member comments?
Could I address our treatment plant?
Sure.
We are assistant manager.
Jack, my ears are a little
Oh, it's a TM.
in and out.
How's the TMDL project?
Thank you, Jack. The TMGL project is going along really well. Liz could probably speak to that a little bit more in detail than I can. I know that what we have left is to install adjustable frequency drives, and electrical and SCADA work, control functions, and take the east ditch offline and get that cleaned out to facilitate Cushman doing the work and changing out the aerators and pouring some concrete and doing the stuff that they need to do to upgrade these aerators. And they should move through that pretty quickly. I think we're in a good spot as far as our schedule, and we're looking to have completion by October, maybe shortly thereafter.
How much more work does Cushman have to do?
I'd say they're 85-90% done.
Build to 95% now.
Yeah, 90. So they're billing at 95%. So we're getting close. Cushman has done a great job, and I can't thank district staff, Rick and Liz, enough for their diligence on this project. As everything's went off without a hitch. They've worked their challenges, and the project overall is turning out really well. I couldn't be happier. So we're looking forward to getting things up and online and figure out how we're going to efficiently run these processes, our new biological process as it pertains to our denitrification filters, and how these new ditches are going to run. We have some aerator speed control. We have a little bit different operations as far as it pertains to the biology and stuff. So I think we're in a good spot.
Bradshaw, how long does it take us to get those ditches back online when you bring them back on?
Well, it takes a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. We kind of opted for 4, just to let the biology come back around. We're having a little bit of trouble with nitrates, but our flows are down to 1.6, 1.7 gallons a day. So our concentrations just went up. Your flow drops off, your concentrations go up. So we got some pretty high ammonias, which is typical coming into the plant. So we're going on occasion to cyclic aeration to keep those nitrates in check. That means you shut the aerators off. The bugs don't have any air, so the denitrifiers start converting that nitrate to nitrogen gas, helps us remove our nitrates and helps us stay in compliance with our interim total nitrogen limit. We'll have more restrictive limits once we get online. As of July 2025, we have our new limits to contend with. So, but we're in a good spot. We have denitrification capability all over the plant, but yeah, about 3 weeks to come back online. So we're looking forward to turning this ditch over to the TMDL project so they can finish up their work. And we're looking forward to going to ditch number 1, which has new aerators, and putting all our flow to ditch number 1 and adjusting the biology and making operational adjustments as needed to facilitate the work getting done. Then we can go back to both ditches, and then we can work with both ditches and our denite filters.
And no composting this year, right? Probably shut down till next year.
Yeah, no composting this year. Just kind of a heads up for the board. We've done composting for a long time. It's always seemed to be the right thing to do. We get beneficial reuse out of our biosolids that we compost. We generally composted. Our goal was kind of about 60% of our biosolids got composted on site. As we move into the world of more technology and processes that are challenging to run, and more processes from a biological standpoint, and the need to currently look into the possibility of buying a new tractor and buying a new tiller. And we've had some problems with the Wildcat and stuff. We're going to be evaluating some costs as far as composting versus just continuing to haul our biosolids off site. It takes up one person pretty much all summer long, and even during the winter when we're loading trucks and things like that. So we wanted to kind of back up a little bit and take another look at that. I know we've always done it. I've always liked the composting, make a real good end product. I just don't know if that's the right thing to do moving forward, or the best thing to do moving forward. So if we could continue to compost next year, we definitely try to fire it up next year. We should be done with everything. When we do this valve replacement at the headworks, we have some waters coming back from our reject from our filters that will not be able to go to the influent header, which goes up to the fine screen, which is a separate pipe. We might have to bypass some more water out there too. So that's why we haven't fired up our composting as of yet, because we're kind of anticipating needing to get that project done as well. And we have some other times where during the TMDO, we needed to put water out there as well, which we couldn't be composting when we did that either. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Did you Turner fix?
Turner, yes, we did. We haven't tested it yet. We didn't have anything to turn.
Anything further from the board? Right, we have some general manager comments, Allison or Bradshaw. Either one of you have anything?
I just have a couple of things. Just a reminder, the pre-scheduled personnel committee on August 6th. The election, lead time period is open. It closes August 9th. I think, for those of you who weren't in here earlier, a couple of you have already gone down there. They encourage you to make an appointment to go in there. They hand you a flash drive in which has all the documents loaded on it that the county. They sort of expect for you to go home, print the documents, fill them out. If you need any assistance from a technology standpoint, Ian is happy to help. He's already helped a couple of you already print the documents, access them, etc. So feel free to utilize us for that or any support you need. They require that you schedule a second appointment to go and actually turn in your paperwork. They'll review it, make sure it's accurate. So it's handled in 2 separate appointments at the county to do your election paperwork. Those appointments can be made online. I believe the website is venturavote.org. And there's also some instructions there, but we are happy to help. We're just not the location to pull papers this year. Update on that we know for our 3 recruitments that we're out for right now. They close Friday at the end of business. We are hopeful that we get like a last minute push on one of the recruitments. This is our second attempt at recruiting for it. And we are hoping to be successful this time. Outlook is not great. I don't know if it's, so we have all sorts of different theories of why we're not getting applicants, but our research shows us that we're not the only ones, that there's a lot of vacancies, a lot of neighboring agencies and competing agencies of the same type. And we are not the only ones that are struggling to fill our vacancies. So there'll be probably more to come on that from at least 1 or if not 2 of those recruitments once we close and figure out where we're at. That is all I have.
You say again, what was August 6th?
August
No.
Personnel Committee meeting. I just pre-scheduled it, and so I just want to remind people. I did 2 like sequentially.
Anything about when the satisfaction survey meeting is going to be?
I'm not part of that process. That's a subcommittee that works directly with Libra Cassidy Whitmore. So
I will get you an answer on that. I'll reach out to him. I think I owe them an email back with everything else that's gone on. It's got shuffled, but I'll with them and then.
Okay.
Anything further from anybody? That we are adjourned at 6:54.